Welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, let's take a look at two-dimensional arrays. In the last lesson, we looked at one-dimensional arrays. So now we're going to look at two-dimensional arrays. So these are arrays within arrays. So that's what two-dimensional means. Arrays within arrays. So we'll be creating multiple arrays within a single array. So a single array would hold more than one array. So that's what a two-dimensional array means. So let me show you how that works. So for this, we'll be declaring a variable just like we usually do, but while assigning the values of the array, we'll need to make some changes from what we did in the one-dimensional array part. Okay, so let's create a variable called num values. I've used the camel convention as usual. Then while assigning the values, let me just do like this. Okay, so creating two square brackets that denote that it's an array. Okay, so now within the square brackets we'll place the values of the array. Okay, so but within the square bracket, if it were a 1D array, we'll be writing down values within commas like this. So if it was a 1D array, we'll be doing it like this. So this is an array, one-dimensional array that holds three values, 1, 2 and 3. But now, since we are looking at two-dimensional arrays, let's write down arrays which have their own values. Okay, like this. So now the array num values has three new arrays within it, these three arrays, and they're separated by commas. So the values of the main array num values is actually three different arrays. Okay, so if that was the case, then when you access it, num values of 0, this would be the first array. So when you access it like this, you'll be accessing the first array, and num values of 1 would be the second array in here, and then num values of 2 would be this third array in here. So before we move on, let me just give values inside here so you understand better. So this is the first array's value. This is the first child array's value, and then the second child array's value, 4 here, 7, 8, 9, the third child array's value. So that's how you create a 2D array, which is an array within an array, and that's how you assign values to it. But how would you reference these values? I mean, we have a simple method to do it with 1D arrays. You just go with one index, and then num values of 0 would be the first value, num values of 1 would be the second value, and so on and so forth. But that's not how this works. This is a 2D array, so how would you access? For that, you should use two indices rather than one index like here. Okay, so since this is a two-dimensional array, we'll be using two indices. So for example, let me take the first child array, which is in the 0th index of num values. So num values of 0 would denote this child array, which holds three values, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so what if you want to refer the value 2 within that first child array, which is in the first index of the first child array? So the array is in the 0th index of the main num values array, and the value is in the first index of the child array. So to do that, first let's say 0 and then 1. So this would be referring to the 0th index and then the first index in here. So the first index is the index of the parent array num values. So that's the first value of the num values index, and the second index in here is the index of the value of the child array that the parent array refers to. So the parent array refers to the 0th index, which is this first child array, the first value within that first child array, so the value 2. Okay, so that's how it works. Let's see if we actually get the output. So I'm going to alert this. So if I did it right, I should be getting an output that says 2. Okay, so let me save everything. Let's look at the output. See, the value 2 was displayed because we were accessing the first value of the 0th child. Alright, so it might be a bit confusing, but so don't look into it too much. Just look at the indexes. So there's one array which has three values, and then within that there are multiple arrays which have three values each. So that's how you access it. So that's it about one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays. Let's look at other topics in our next lessons. I'll see you there. Thank you.